Hello and welcome to my channel, The Lab Rats. So this is the fourth part of LAC Open on lecture series, but no more theories today, okay? We have to utilize our theoretical knowledge from previous three parts of the lecture series, and then we have to do the previous year CSIR questions. So everybody watch the video till the end and solve questions with me. Also, those who are doing LAC Operon for the first time, I suggest you to go through the previous three videos of this lecture series. Their links I have provided in the description box, and then come to this fourth part and solve questions with me. Then only you will be able to better connect with the explanations and you will be able to solve questions more efficiently. So let's begin with the video. This question is from CSI June 2015. According to question, there are two bacterial strains, that are strain P1 with genotype this, strain P2 with genotype this. Using these two strains, amidodiploid daughter strain, which was named as D, strain D, was produced. So the genotype of daughter strain is this. As the question is in context to lac operon and this merodiploid daughter strain has been produced, so this strain is going to be diploid for lac operon genes and it will have lac operon gene from both these two strain. Okay, so the question asks that what kind of expression of lac Z gene, that is what kind of beta galactosidase activity will be seen in all these three strains. Okay, also all those gene that has been represented with a positive sign are wild type gene and all those that has been represented with a negative sign are mutant gene. This OC is also a mutant gene, that is constitutive operator. It is also a kind of mutant condition and you can learn about this constitutive operator in detail in my previous videos. Now coming to the question, if we discuss about P1, here is the constitutive operator. It will regulate the expression of this LAC-Z gene. Okay, this LAC-Z gene is mutated and the question is about the activity of beta galactosidase gene. Okay, beta galactosidase protein. As this is mutated, it will not produce any active compound. No active beta galactosidase enzyme will produce by this gene. Okay. So in case of lac operon, if the question asks about expression or product formation of a particular gene and the gene is itself mutated, so you don't need to look at other components of lac operon, that is what kind of operator is there, what kind of promoter is there, or what kind of repressor gene is there. You do not need to look at other condition, because in any condition that mutated gene is not going to produce an active product. So in this case, whether the media has inducer or not, whether it has any condition, this beta galactosidase gene will not show active beta galactosidase enzyme production. Okay, so if we conclude this is mutated LAC-Z, so no expression both in the presence or absence of inducer. Now coming to strain 2, it has wild type operator, a mutated repressor gene and a wild type beta galactosidase gene. So we will see in what condition this beta galactosidase gene is going to express. But first of all, we have to discuss about this mutant repressor gene. Okay, this mutant repressor gene. So it won't produce any active repressor. So inactive repressor molecule will be expressed. Now as this repressor molecule is inactive, it won't be able to identify the operator sequence and it won't bind to operator whether media has inducer molecule or not. Okay, so in any condition this repressor molecule is not going to bind to the operator and lac operon is going to be in positive regulation, under positive regulation all the time. So lac operon gene will express constitutively. So in this case, as the repressor is mutated, it won't bind to operator whether inducer molecule is present or not. So LAC-Z gene will show constitutive expression. Now coming to the merodiploid strain. Here we can see two set of lac operons. In first set, this beta galactosidase gene is mutated. So we don't have to talk about this beta galactosidase gene. All we have to focus is on this wild type beta galactosidase gene and in what condition it will express its product, that is beta galactosidase enzyme. Now if you look on the operator, this is constitutive operator and it is it will like regulate the expression of this beta galactosidase gene, which we are not going to discuss. This is a wild type operator and this is going to regulate the expression of this beta galactosidase gene, which is a wild type beta galactosidase gene. Now coming to the repressor molecule. So this repressor molecule is mutated. It is not going to produce any active repressor molecule. So again we are not going to discuss this repressor molecule. Now coming to this repressor molecule, it is the wild type repressor gene, and it will produce active repressor molecule, and the active repressor molecule will bind to the operator when the inducer molecule is absent, and in the presence of allolactose it will be inactive. Now we know that the repressor molecules are transdominant. First of all, these two genes are not of any interest. Now in the absence of allolactose, that is when inducer is absent, the repressor protein from this wild type repressor gene will bind to this operator, and as this operator and repressor are bound together, or they are interacting, so operon will be under negative regulation, and then this beta galactosidase gene will not express. Now when media has inducer molecule and allolactose is present, this allolactose will inactivate the repressor molecule, and then repressor won't be able to bind to the operator. In that condition, lac-operon will undergo positive regulation and beta galactosidase gene will express. So overall, if we conclude this, it is under inducible control. That is, for expression of this beta galactosidase gene in case of merodiploid strain, inducer molecule is required. So overall, in all these three conditions, we can conclude that this will show no expression. It won't express in any condition. In case of P2, the beta galactosidase gene will show constitutive expression. And in case of merodiploid, it will show inducible expression. That is, it will express when inducer molecule is present, and it won't express if inducer molecule is absent. Inducible expression. So on the basis of all this discussion, we know that option 1 is the correct option. Now this question is from CSI June 2017, and according to the question, there is a merodiploid strain of E. coli with this genotype. Okay, and under these four experimental conditions, what will be the activity of beta galactosidase enzyme in this merodiploid strain? Also, out of these four graphs, which graph is correctly representing the activity of beta galactosidase enzyme under these four experimental conditions in the merodiploid strain? So one by one we will discuss all the experimental condition. First of all, in first condition, there is no induction. No induction means no lactose. No lactose means no allolactose. No allolactose means no positive regulation. And no positive regulation means no expression. No expression of what? No expression of lac-operon genes. Okay. So here we can see that there are two operons. In first operon, the operator is constitutive operator, and the gene that it will be controlling the expression of these two genes. These two genes are going to be constitutively expressed. But here this beta galactosidase gene is mutated. Okay, so under no condition this gene is going to produce any active product, and the gene of interest is beta galactosidase, and this gene is itself mutated. Now under all these four experimental conditions, it won't be able to produce any active product. In all the four experimental conditions, we will ignore this first operon because this operon is of no use. It has beta galactosidase gene in mutated condition. Okay, so all we have to focus is on this wild type beta galactosidase gene, and we have to see under what experimental condition this gene will express its product. So here this constitutive operator will keep expressing all the time, but the beta galactosidase is mutated. Now this normal wild type operator will be bound by repressor molecule. Because there is no induction, the repressor molecule will bind to the operator, and so negative regulation will occur. Under negative regulation, none of the lac-operon genes will be expressed. So these lac-operon genes will not express. So the overall conclusion is that operon which is under constitutive expression, that is this operon, the operon which is under constitutive expression have mutated beta gal, so it won't show beta galactosidase enzyme activity, and the operon under normal beta galactosidase gene is present under inducible control. So in the absence of inducer, again this will also not express any beta galactosidase gene product. Okay, now coming to second condition, we have n mole of IPTG. So in this condition, induction has been done with n mole of IPTG. What is IPTG? It is analog of allolactose. So like allolactose, it binds to the repressor molecule and it inactivates the repressor molecule. But this IPTG has one advantage, that is it cannot be metabolized by bacterial cell, so it can induce lac-operon for a longer period of time, and so large quantity of lac-operon gene products will be formed if we induce the lac-operon with IPTG. Okay, now first operon we are going to ignore. In case of second operon, as IPTG is present, this repressor molecule will become inactive. Okay, this was active, but in the presence of inducer, that is this IPTG, the repressor molecule will become inactive. This inactive repressor molecule won't be able to bind to operator sequence, and so this operon will fall under positive control and expression of these two genes will take place. That is, beta galactosidase gene will express in this condition and large amount of beta galactosidase enzyme will be produced. So what is overall conclusion? Expression for longer period in comparison to allolactose, because IPTG cannot be metabolized. Now coming to third option, third condition, induction with n mole of lactose. So we have used n mole of IPTG and n mole of lactose, and when these two are equal, obviously in case of IPTG there will be production of large amount of beta galactosidase enzyme, and as these two are inducer molecule, C will have same condition as B, but here less amount of beta galactosidase gene will be produced in comparison to IPTG. So first operon we are going to ignore, and as the repressor molecule will not be able to bind to the wild type operator, these two genes will express, and so expression for a short period, less product will be formed. Okay, now coming to the fourth option, D option, that is induction with n mole of lactose in the presence of n mole of glucose. Okay, so we have learned about this, that when glucose and lactose both are present in the media, E. coli will prefer the easiest form of energy source, that is glucose, because glucose can be directly utilized in glycolytic pathway and it can be easily break down to form energy. Now when the media has both lactose and glucose, E. coli prefers to use glucose, as lactose is not being utilized. So lactose is not being utilized, so cell won't be having any allolactose. Okay, so it will seem like no induction condition. So in the absence of allolactose, there will be negative regulation, and the negative regulation will be similarly like the A condition. Okay, no induction condition. So again, this first operon we are going to ignore. In case of second operon, as the cells are not utilizing lactose, they are not taking in lactose, so no allolactose molecule will be formed inside the cell, and so repressor molecule will bind to the operator and these two genes will not express. So the overall conclusion is that it is because of the catabolite repression. Now you can learn about catabolite repression in detail in my previous videos on lac-operon. Now let's see which of these four graphs are depicting it in correct way. Coming to the first graph, it is showing beta galactosidase enzyme activity in case A, B, C in equal. Okay, and according to our discussion, in case A there will be no beta galactosidase activity or no beta galactosidase expression. So this cannot be equal to B and C, and so the first option we are going to outrule. Now coming to the second graph, according to second graph, A option will have 0 beta galactosidase, so it is somewhat like what we discussed in A condition. B, C and D, all three will have beta galactosidase activity, but in case of B there will be more beta galactosidase activity in comparison to C. Okay, and in D also there is small amount of beta galactosidase activity, but according to our discussion, what we discussed, in D option there is no beta galactosidase expression. So somewhat these three options are according to what we have discussed, and so we will mark this second option and we will move on to other graphs. Let's see what other graphs are depicting. Okay, now in case of third graph, this B is showing more beta galactosidase activity in comparison to C, so this 2 option is good, but in case of option A there is small amount of beta galactosidase activity, and in D also there is small amount of beta galactosidase activity. In case of third option, only 2 options are according to what we have discussed. Now let's mark the third option also, third graph also. Now let's move on to fourth graph. The fourth graph is depicting exactly opposite of what we have discussed. Okay, it is showing less beta galactosidase in case of B condition and more beta galactosidase in case of C experimental condition. And it cannot happen because when equal amount of IPTG and lactose will be taken for induction, obviously in case of IPTG there will be induction of lac-operon for a longer period of time. So option 4 is obviously wrong. Now to end up the confusion between graph 2 and graph 3, we have to discuss about one more topic which we have already discussed in detail in the lecture videos, that is leaky expression of lac-operon. Okay, so those who have seen the previous video, they know that leaky expression is a phenomena due to which a small amount of lac-operon gene products are always present in E. coli cell. Okay, and these gene products help in initial induction of lac-operon. According to leaky expression, there should be small amount of lac-operon gene products in both A and D condition. According to that, in case of in between 2 and 3rd graph 3 is correct, because in case of A and D we can see that there are small amount of lac-operon gene product, that is beta galactosidase activity can be seen in these two genes also, these two experimental condition also, but it is less than what we can see in case of IPTG and lactose. So overall we can see that option 3 is correct. Now, this question has a loophole. If we see iGenetics, there is a clear statement in that book about lac-operon that when induction is not there, that is in the absence of induction, absence of inducer, there will be very less expression of lac-operon gene due to leaky expression, and so there are 2 to 3 molecules of beta galactosidase always present in the cell. Okay, 2 to 3 molecules of beta galactosidase, but in the presence of inducer, that is when induction is happening, in that condition expression of lac-operon increases up to 1000-fold. Okay, 1000-fold, and around 1000 or more than 1000 molecules of beta galactosidase can be seen in the cell. Now if you look at the third option, do you see any kind of 1:1000 ratio between 1 and B, or 1 A and C, or in case of D and B, or D and C? No. In fact, the expression or activity of beta galactosidase is around 1/3 of what we can see in case of IPTG and lactose. This graph is not clearly representing what is the actual condition when there is no induction and when there is induction. Okay, so this could have been used as a benefit of doubt, as this graphical representation is not correct. So this question has been asked in CSIR June 2019, and this lac-operon gene organization was not in the question. I have put it here so that it will help us in solving this question. According to question, E. coli mutants were isolated, and when their genetic screening was done, there were different type of mutations were found. Based on the mutation, they were classified into 4 classes. And the question is that in which mutation cases there will be constitutive expression of lac-operon. So let's see one by one all the mutation cases. The first mutation case is the point mutation in LAC-I, that is point mutation in the repressor gene. If repressor gene has any kind of point mutation, it will surely going to produce inactive repressor molecule. Okay, inactive repressor molecule. This inactive repressor molecule won't be able to recognize and bind to the operator. Okay, so no binding will take place, that is no negative regulation. So when this repressor molecule will never be able to bind to the operator, this lac-operon will never undergo negative regulation, and so this gene will be constitutively expressed. So in case of first mutant, that is point mutation in lac-operon, there will be constitutive expression of lac-operon genes. Okay, now coming to the second option, that is second mutant condition, deletion immediately downstream of transcription start site of ZYA mRNA. Okay, ZYA is this gene cluster in lac-operon. If there is a deletion immediately downstream of transcription site of LAC ZYA, will the lac-operon express constitutively or not? Now this is a prokaryotic system. In case of prokaryotes, the transcription start site is immediately downstream of promoter. So it should be something somewhere here immediately downstream of promoter. And the question is that deletion is immediately downstream of transcription start site of LAC-ZYA. This is the transcription start site immediately downstream of promoter. This is transcription start site. Now the question is that if there is deletion immediately downstream of this site, so immediate downstream of transcription start site is operator sequence. So if there is deletion in the operator sequence, what will happen to the expression of lac-operon? So obviously if there is any changes in the operator sequence, this repressor protein won't be able to recognize the operator and it will not bind to the operator sequence. In this condition also there will be no negative regulation and lac-operon genes will express constitutively. Okay, so in case 2 also there will be constitutive expression. In C and D it is showing that if LAC-Y and LAC-A in these genes a part or the whole gene is duplicated, will this lead to constitutive expression of lac-operon? So no, if a gene is duplicated, its product formation rate will increase, the expression of its product will increase, but it will not lead to constitutive expression of lac-operon. So these two conditions will not show any constitutive expression. Now looking at the whole discussion, we can understand that in case of A and B classes of mutation, there will be constitutive expression of lac-operon. So this question has been asked in CSR June 2016, and I must say that this question is not from lac-operon, but then why we are discussing in lac-operon lecture. So based on some of the logics from lac-operon, we can easily solve this question. All we need to have a little knowledge of lac-operon and a little knowledge of bacterial growth curve. And I think all of the students, like whether they are from life science or from microbiology or from biotechnology or they're from biochemistry, they must have studied the bacterial growth curve. They must be having a little knowledge of this bacterial growth curve. So the question says that there are experimental condition, 3 experimental condition. And in first experimental condition, the E. coli culture was done in the presence of glucose as the carbon source. In second experimental condition, the E. coli was provided glucose and galactose as a carbon source. And in the third experimental condition, there was phage infection. So what are phages? They are viruses that infect bacteria and use the bacterial host machinery to divide and form large number of viral particle, and then after some time they lyse the bacterial cell and then release the viral progeny. Okay, so what kind of bacterial growth will seen in all these 3 experimental condition has been asked in this question. Now let's first understand the bacterial growth curve. So this is y-axis, this is x-axis, this is increase in bacterial cell, and this is time. So increase in bacterial cell number with respect to time is what we call as bacterial growth curve. So bacterial growth curve is somewhat like E. coli bacterial growth curve is somewhat like this sigmoidal growth curve. Okay, so there are 4 phases in this growth curve. This is lag phase, this is log phase, this is stationary phase, and this is decline phase or death phase. So basically when we add bacterial inoculum or bacteria in a culture media, so first of all it start acclimatizing to the new surrounding condition, and so initially the growth is not there, or if there it is very slow. The bacterial cell divide at a very slow rate, so there is no visible increase in bacterial cell number, and so this first lag phase is shown to be flat. Okay. Now in the second case, the bacterial cell enters the log phase where cell starts dividing very rapidly in a exponential manner, that is 2 to the power n, and so the bacterial cell number increase very fast with respect to time, and this is called log phase. After some time, nutrients in the media starts depleting and bacterial cell starts dying also, and the growth is slow down. Okay, so in that condition there is no visible increase in the bacterial cell number. So again this graph becomes flat in stationary phase. Then after that the nutrient completely depletes and also some toxic metabolites start accumulating in bacterial cells. So most of the cell starts dying and this graph declines. So this is the overall, in short we can say that this is a bacterial growth curve. And now we have to see what kind of bacterial growth curve we are going to see in all these 3 experimental conditions. So in experimental condition 1, where glucose is there as a carbon source, so obviously bacteria will utilize glucose and they will start dividing rapidly, and so there will be a log phase. After some time, glucose will deplete from the media and they will enter the stationary phase. So we will see a growth curve somewhat like this in case of glucose. Now in case of glucose and galactose, we know we have studied about catabolite repression. So obviously bacteria will like to utilize glucose as a food source. So bacteria will start utilizing glucose and it will start dividing, and there will be log phase and then stationary phase. But in this case, bacteria has a chance to utilize this second carbon source after glucose completely depletes from the media. So from here, when it will start utilizing galactose, again it will start dividing, and again there will be a log phase. After that galactose is utilized, again the bacterial cell will enter the stationary phase. So this kind of graph we will see in case of glucose and galactose, and this we called as biphasic growth curve. Okay, so same biphasic growth curve will be seen in case of glucose and lactose also. Now coming to third option, when phage enter the bacterial cell, they start multiplying. So initially bacterial cell will be growing, and in them phages will also be growing. Now after some time, when the progeny will be in enough number, they will lyse the bacterial cell and then released. So in that case, the bacterial cell number will suddenly decrease and become 0, as all the bacterial cell will be ruptured by the bacteriophages. So this kind of growth curve will be seen in case 3. Now coming to the graph, we can see that graph B is representing the glucose condition, graph A is representing this glucose galactose condition, and graph C is representing this phase condition. So based on all this discussion, we know that option 2 is the correct option in this question. Thank you so much for watching the video. If this video was useful, please like and share it. Subscribe to our channel, and for recent updates, click on the notification bell icon. Also, you can post all your video related query in the comment section. For video related queries and all the recent updates, you can also follow us on Facebook. You can find the link in the description box. So see you in the next video. Until then, keep learning and keep motivating.